Hello everyone, Father Scott Vanderveer here with another installment in our series on love. Today we're talking about love as a verb, not as a noun. A lot of people think of love as being this force that comes over you. It's mysterious. Perhaps love is another word for a spell. You know, it's like you fall under it, kind of like somebody can be struck by a spell or fall under a spell. We often think of love, especially romantic love, as being something that is given to us from heaven. It's like handed on by angels. It's not something that we have any control over at all. People fall in love the way they fall into a hole in the ground. It's like how they fall in any situation of losing balance and letting gravity take over. It's an experience of helplessness. And you know, all of that describes a stage of love that is real. The stage of falling in love, especially romantically, is powerful. The word actually that scientists or psychologists will use for that is infatuation. I used to put a C in that word, infatuation, but it's not, it's infatuation, I found. And infatuated people are basically on drugs. They're not the kind of drugs you buy on the street or at a pharmacy. They're the kind of drugs that are like the drugs you get from going on a long walk, or the drugs you get from going to the gym for an hour. Those drugs are endorphins, but this other set of drugs is more powerful than that. It's like dopamine. It's a drug that your brain creates that creates a feeling of euphoria in you. When you experience that kind of feeling, they say, and this is not an exaggeration, that it is as powerful to the human brain as using cocaine. Infatuated people are literally out of their minds because logic has no traction with a person who's infatuated. They're completely taken by the object of their love and admiration. An infatuated person is probably as under the influence of the chemicals in their brain as a person is who's trying to consider driving after sitting in a bar for 2 hours. And so we have to acknowledge that feeling of being in love, that feeling of infatuation, it's one of the best things that a human being can feel. It makes people absolutely out of their minds with joy and euphoria. It's what allows you to go days without sleeping, forget all about food, want to do incredible things for the one you love. It makes your priorities completely shift. And who can deny how exciting and thrilling such a time is? The problem is, and you see this a lot among famous people, there comes a time a few years later where the magic is gone, where the spark is no longer very easily lit. There's no butterflies when the other person comes into the room. In fact, the person who comes into the room, the one you used to be infatuated with, might not be trying very hard any longer to impress you. They may not hold back from any of their normal quirks or bodily functions in your presence. And so the feeling of infatuation often is as absent from the one looking at the beloved as it is within the beloved, him or herself, who then says, I don't need to try anymore. We're just doing this. We're just together. And that is when those chemicals stop being produced. According to some studies, the chemicals that make you feel the first flush of in love, the longest they can possibly be created in your mind is 7 years. How interesting is that, right? 7 years. You've heard of the 7-year itch. 7 years is how long it takes before no longer are those chemicals doing the heavy lifting. And that is when love no longer feels like gravity, no longer feels like an arrow shot from an angel hovering. It no longer feels heavenly or supernatural. It starts to feel like the spell is broken. Love, after the chemicals are gone, is work. Love goes from being a noun to a verb. When you are loving someone beyond being in love, you are making a decision based on values and principles that are deep within you. You are committed because of an intention in your gut, a desire that's in your soul. You no longer are taking commands from your brain, because your brain may say, this person is getting old. This person isn't as funny as he or she used to be. This person has so many quirks that they didn't show me when this all started. Forget this. I'll go find somebody magical, like this person used to be before they somehow got ruined by life. But there is no magic. There is only grace. And love is sometimes something we feel, and other times it's something we do. When a person no longer has the chemicals to boost them in their love story, they then have to begin the work of loving for real, of being someone who shows what love looks like, of being someone who does the work, the hard work of love. So friends, as we continue in this series on love, I invite you to consider where you are in this journey. Maybe you're married, maybe you have someone you love, maybe there's a partner in your life, or maybe there's not. But whatever it is, could you consider what phase you're in? Are you in the in love phase? Are you in the we used to be in love phase, but we're waning? Have you made the shift from love being a feeling to being an action? When did you learn that lesson, if you have? And does hearing any of this spark thoughts that you might want to share with your small group or with someone else that you love and care about? Making the shift from love as a feeling to love as an action is one of the most important things we could ever do. Let us think deeply about the things of love and our response to God's love in our lives. May God bless you all.